Hello students, in this session we'll discuss about immune response and types of acquired immunity. You already know that a specific reactivity induced in a host by an antigen is known as immune response. There are two types of immune response: primary immune response and secondary immune response. The primary immune response, the immune response mounted as a result of first encounter of an animal with an antigen, is called a primary immune response. If a same person is encounter same types of antigen second time, then it is called a secondary immune response. Subsequent encounter of animal with the same antigen results in effective immune response, and the type of immune response we called as a secondary immune response. Let us start with the types of immune response, and the immune response includes two types. One is humoral mediated immunity, second one is cell mediated immunity. What is the difference between humoral mediated immunity and cell mediated immunity? You already know that acquired immunity has two types of cells. One is lymphocytes, second one is antigen presenting cells. Lymphocytes, there are two types of lymphocytes. One is B lymphocytes, second one is T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes are responsible for humoral immunity, whereas T lymphocytes are responsible for cell mediated immunity. What is humoral mediated immunity or antibody mediated immunity? Soon after the entry of antigens, the B cells get activated with the help of T cells, and activated B cells will produce antibodies, and these antibodies which interact with the antigens or which inactivate the antigens, and the antibodies are present in the blood plasma, body fluids such as blood and lymph. Hence it is called humoral mediated immunity. Whereas T lymphocytes are responsible for cell mediated immunity because they will produce T cytotoxic cells which has the ability to kill the pathogens. Entire cell is involved in killing the pathogen. That's why it is called cell mediated immunity. In humoral mediated immunity, there are two types. One is active immunity, another one is passive immunity. Again, in active immunity, there are two types of immunity. One is natural immunity, another one is artificial. Passive immunity, natural passive immunity, and artificial passive immunity. So let us start with active immunity. So most of us suffered from chickenpox in childhood. Most of us don't develop chickenpox again lifetime, because this is we called as the active natural immunity. Once a person is exposed to the antigens or pathogens, the antibodies are produced and immune response is generated, and that immune response eliminate the pathogens. The first time a person encounter with the antigens, it is slow and weak response, and that is called primary immune response. Subsequent entry, because already we have a memory cells as a result of primary immune response, the subsequent entry of the pathogens, second time antigen enters, immune cells, based on the immunological memory, it will produce antibodies, and these antibodies which interact with the antigen, and this time it is quicker and a stronger immune response is produced and no disease is developed, and this type of immunity we called as a secondary immune response. Immunity developed after the entry of pathogens in the body, either acquired immunity. So antigenic stimulus stimulates B cells to produce antibodies, that is called acquired active immunity. Natural acquired immunity, acquired due to infections, okay, measles infections. Artificial, active artificial immunity, vaccines, extracted, prepared and consist of either killed organism or weakened or live toxoids are introduced into the person so that it stimulates the antigenic substance stimulates immune system, and that type of immune system we call as a primary immune response. And as a result of primary immune response, memory cells are produced, and those memory cells will produce quicker and stronger immune response, secondary immune response. Okay, so vaccination is based on the feature of immunological memory. So introduction of weakened or live toxoids, half killed pathogens we called as a vaccination. So that stimulates the formation of antibodies. As a result of introduction of vaccines, they recognize the foreign substances, activates the immune system and produce antibodies. We'll move to the passive natural immunity. So, best example, transfer of antibodies from mother to child through breast milk or placenta. So, during fetal developmental stage, mother's womb is connected to the fetus by means of placenta. The transfer of antibodies from mother to fetus, maternal blood into the fetal through placenta, okay, nutrients, oxygen, waste, metabolic waste are transported through placenta, and this we called as a passive immunity. One. Second example, the transfer of antibodies from mother to child through breast milk, we called as a, okay, this is we called as a artificial passive immunity. Pathogens may infect baby through placenta. Oops, immune system is not developed. Then how is fetus is protected from the infections? Before the birth, the ready-made antibodies are transferred via blood. This is called maternal antibodies. Transfer of antibodies from mother to fetus through placenta, we called as a passive immunity. So after the birth, maternal antibodies are transferred, okay, from mother to child or mother to infant through breast milk, and we called as a natural passive immunity. The milk produced during initial few days of lactation, that is we called as a colostrum, which is rich in IgA and provides passive immunity, remains in the body very short period of time and provides passive immunity. Same thing. This is acquired, ready-made, passive, placenta, colostrum. Natural, acquired, passive immunity. So passive artificial immunity, dog bite, snake bite, and infections are taken after bite. Why is the injection is taken? So rabies is a viral disease, may transmitted from bite of rabies dog. The virus affects the brain, central nervous system, and that may turns to fatal also. Acquired immunity will take several days to activate. So insufficient time for body to generate its own immune response, ready-made antibodies are injected against the rabies. Okay, so obtained hyperimmunized horses. So hyperimmunized horses, okay, containing large quantities of specific antibodies, and these antibodies which helps in protecting against the rabies virus. That's why injecting antibodies which are produced in one living organism and transferred to the other living organism using serum of humans or animals. That's why it's called artificial acquired passive immunity. Antibodies obtained from hyperimmunized horses are injected into the humans against the rabies pathogens. Next, lastly, we'll move on to the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Passive immunity. So, let us start with the first one. It is a immunity developed in our body when antigens enters are introduced in response to the infections and vaccination. It's a type of immunity developed by introduction of antibodies which are produced in the other living organism. Second difference, it takes time to form and few in number. They are already prepared antibodies and they are many in number. They last longer, gives lifelong immunity. These are short-lived immunity. Next one, the antibodies produced are harmless. Here antibodies produced become harmful and that may turns to fatal also and start immune reaction against the host body. It is active immunity is effective for large number of infections, whereas passive immunity is effective for limited number of infections, okay, such as food poisoning, snake venom, dog bite, etc. So this completes the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. In the next session, we'll discuss vaccination and immunization, and along with this, we'll discuss lymphoid organs. Thank you.